X.
Geo Gearheads.
Welcome to episode 400 of the Geo Gearheads. If you're brand new, there's 399 episodes to catch up on. But this is a weekly geocaching and geolocation game-centered podcast. I am Chris of the Northwest, along with our illustrious and sometimes illuminated host, Daryl W4.
Well, I do have 3 different lights above me, so illuminated is probably an accurate description today.
How about infamous? That's beyond famous.
Is it? I thought it was not famous. In that case, that's also true.
It comes from the movie The Three Amigos.
But Chris, it is so good to be back on episode 400. Kind of one of those, oh my goodness, we are suddenly at 400.
It just kind of crept up on us at about, 380? Like, oh, hey, we're coming up on 400.
I think it was even later than that. I think it was like 396 or whatever, Actually, no, it was before that, because it was when I scheduled Nick for this show. I go, oh, Nick, you're going to be on number 400. And speaking of which, Nick, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're happy to have you here talking about Cachly today. But you've been on what, like 4 or 5 times now?
I was trying to look in my emails to find the emails from you about that and count. But yeah, I think it's about 4 times.
Well, let me actually just go to CacheManiacs.com and we'll do a quick search for
Perfect.
Nick.
Well, without a doubt, Nick has been the most frequent guest that's an iOS only developer.
This is true.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah. Oh, look at that Spider Monkey. Spider Monkey's mom loves Cachly.
Wonderful.
Don't we all love Cachly? Well, if you're not on iOS.
I was just going to say the iOS users aren't such a fan.
You mean the Android?
All right. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
The Android.
iOS users are fans.
Yes. Oh, well.
Wow. It's actually the last time we had you on was over a year ago for Cachly 4.2. So now we're at 5.2. So a full version.
Wonderful. That's good to know.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks like we haven't had you on nearly as much as I thought. It looks like only 3 times.
That's all right. We can keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to have you on again, because it's not like you're going to stop at 4. At 5.2.
Very true.
We'll have you on before 6.2.
Okay. Perfect.
I can jump right to that.
I was going to say the problem is that might be like a month from now, so we might not be able to keep that promise.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, hey, Daryl, I was able to share good quality time with Nick here at the Going Apex event, or Going Apex, as I like to say. It was the Apex event. You can't have a better event than an Apex event.
Yeah, I like that term much better than Going Apex.
So Nick and I sat just across from each other in a booth and had a great time. So Nick, it's good to have you on the podcast again. It was even better to see you in person.
Thank you. Likewise. Yeah, we had a great time, and your booth did well. I think my booth did well. It was fun to see people in person and just get out there to an event and try to promote Cachly.
Well, and as I understand it, the biggest question you were asked is exactly what Pipes Down Under is asking. And when is the Android app available?
Yeah, I did get that question quite a bit, but I just had to say probably never, at least right now, because it's just too much work for a single developer. So
yeah, and for whom this is not your only job.
Yes, I tried to mention that a little bit to people, but I figured most people wouldn't care.
Well,
yeah, it's the side gig. You still have to do, paying projects for other people.
Yeah. I think we were saying at the event that not many people can do geocaching full time. So
there you go.
Yeah.
If only.
Yeah.
Pipes Down Under is a little upset.
I did tell some people that you can buy old iOS devices that you can just use only for Cashly, and it's pretty inexpensive.
Mhm.
So it's an option.
Well, and we've known people who have done the same thing with Android phones so that they
Yeah.
can use various tools on those, especially for like Where I Go. And, you know, Chris, I don't know if you've had a chance to play with Where I Go, the iOS version,
Mhm.
but it crashes a lot now.
Oh, I haven't used it, well, since probably my last Where I Go, which has been a while. And it worked fine for that one. But
Yeah, it's really been about the last.
It's terrible. And like, it wasn't bad for me.
Yeah,
But
it's been
I
about
used it the other
last
day
6
and
months.
it crashed.
Yeah.
So it's definitely problematic.
And it's been I think about 2 years, maybe 3 since the last update. So I'm beginning to wonder if we're not going to have an iOS Where I Go app before too long. We might have to get those Android apps just for Where I Go, or
Well,
the Android phones.
I wonder if there's an iOS developer that we know that might be able to help us out.
I have it on my list to look into that.
Nick,
So
I forgot you were here.
yeah, I'm here. That iOS Where Go app is actually a third-party developer, so I don't.
Right.
They must have licensed something from HQ.
Well, we actually interviewed him way back in the day on Geocaching podcast. And this is the early days with just Xpunk X and I, if I recall. But he actually had struck a deal with, help me out, the former president at geocaching.com when it was still called Groundspeak. Jeremy, yes. He struck a deal with Jeremy to actually brand it as geocaching for like a year and use the name and everything.
Interesting. I don't remember that.
Yeah, so for a little while it was actually listed as the official Where I Go
Groundspeak
app.
Mhm.
Right. And then the whatever the deal was expired and it went back to being his.
Well, and that brings up the point, is Where I Go still a product that now you got me saying Groundspeak. The geocaching.com is wanting to push, or are they moving to Adventure Labs to accomplish something similar?
That's one of the questions that we've all had, but the official response has always been, it's not dead. We're still very interested in the product.
And
we just don't have the
other movie line, this one from Princess Bride. It was just mostly dead.
Yeah. It's one of those, if they don't do something soon, it's probably going to be too late to do anything with the product.
You know, we've got a couple of people in this area that are quite knowledgeable at Where I Goes and can make one.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got a good number of Where I Goes in our area, but
well, and there's a ton of good utilities. I should say a ton. There's several good utilities that are like web-based now to create it, so you don't have to deal with that archaic builder that was never very good.
Right.
And it was a good start, but it kind of lost the development steam before it was ready to release.
But I'm willing to hold my breath and see if Where I Go can be integrated into Cashly, maybe 6.2 somehow. I'm just throwing out 6.2.
Let's hope 6.2. We'll shoot for that.
Okay.
That's going to be the big difference between 6.1 and 6.2.
Yeah.
No pressure, Nick.
Okay.
Well, one of the big things that was rebuilt entirely with 5 is the maps. And I really, I love the new maps, especially getting the Google Maps back. But the premium maps have become something that I really rely on. Not just because they're offline, but because they have a lot of really good features. So why don't we kick off today's show with 5.2 features, talking about the offline maps.
Absolutely. So to recap, the offline maps are premium offline maps, so they are a paid edition. It's $2.99 US to add those, and those came in 5.0, so been out since December, I think. And it's all OpenStreetMap data. So I pull down that data and generate map files for all of those. Pretty much every country in the world, every US state. A lot of things like countries like Germany are broken up into, I think, provinces, maybe states. I can't remember what they're called there. And so you can download smaller pieces. They're updated quite often. Things like the US, the UK, Germany, Australia, those are updated about every 2 weeks. So users can actually contribute to OpenStreetMaps, and then they can see their contributions in Cachly. So like I've worked really hard on the area around Mount St. Helens, which is, I live close. And so there was missing trails, there was missing campsites, things like that I could use and update as a geocaching map and also like a hiking map. So definitely people can do work and correct things and add things, and it will show up in our maps.
Which is one of the reasons that I love those maps so much, is because it does have trails that are pretty good.
Mhm.
I will say
they're
that
only as good as the GPS tracks that people have recorded.
well,
So-
and we did one of the trails at West Bend where the trails were totally different than what was on the map.
Yeah.
So we were trying to find this loop that didn't exist.
That can happen sometimes.
Right.
It's down to the OpenStreetMap data that has been uploaded to their service.
Exactly.
But
So it's awesome because most of the time they're better than the trail maps you get from the Park Service. But
hope so.
if I think this one was probably the Park Service had published the trail map, but ended up going around the stand of trees that had impeded the loop that we were trying to use.
I see. Did you correct those trails?
I did not.
No problem.
It was West Bend. We were trying to get every cache we could possibly get before we dropped dead.
Yeah.
Nick, we have Nels in the chat that says even Antarctica, you have those maps. Now it's a little too late for him. Apparently, he went there, but
Yeah, I have a beta tester who went to Antarctica as well, and so he used the offline maps there. So,
wow.
pretty
Now,
cool. That's a crazy vacation.
For just a moment, let's talk about updating the maps. Is that something you do through Cachly or something you do through OpenStreetMaps?
That's something you do through Cachly. So if you have, for example, Washington State, where 2 of us reside, if you've already downloaded it and you want to update it, you would go back and browse all of the map options again, go to Washington State and just tap on it again. And it would say, do you want to download this a second time because you already have it? And you just say yes. And so then it would replace the data.
Nice.
Yeah. Pretty easy.
And the other thing I want to talk about is the $2.99 purchase price. This is a one-time purchase price. This isn't $2.99 a month.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's really quite a deal.
Yeah, let's hope so. So yeah, I think people have been happy with that. It's kind of pay once and you get all the maps that you want forever. So
Yeah, and it's cheap. It's an in-app purchase, so I got it for myself and for the wife because, well, it really is that important, I think, for anyone to get it. In $3, that's a nothing.
Right.
less than a coffee most times.
Yeah.
And probably less than Angry Birds, whatever version they're coming out with.
People still playing that?
I don't know. Flappy
And there's no ads.
Bird.
When you talk about Angry Birds.
You'll if you discontinue the maps, you'll see people selling their iPhones with Cachly and the maps installed for $500 online because everybody will want it then.
That's probably true, but we will not discontinue the maps.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah. I was just thinking back to the Flappy Birds.
I remember that. Yes, that was crazy.
That was yeah, just crazy is the word.
And going back to the maps and the updating, I had downloaded my offline maps back in version 5, like within probably a week of the release. So it wasn't as rich as they are now. So a tip number 1 for everyone who might have downloaded their maps in like version 5, they're much better than they were back then. So go and update those. But for people who want to update their maps, which is probably a pretty good idea whenever you're going to go traveling out of state, make sure you've got the current maps. How do they do that?
They just browse for them, like we were talking about, and then find the one that they were looking for. The search bar is at the top of all the map section. So you can just quickly search for your state or your country, and then tap it again, and then it will ask you to replace the current file, and then it will update it with the new data. So quick and easy.
And one of the other things that I noticed, where there's regional maps and then there's state maps, is there a difference in the quality of those maps, or are they all the same detail, just bigger files?
It's the same detail, so there's no difference as far as like individual data. It's just bigger chunks, so that if somebody is wanting to go the whole West Coast, they could just download the US West map.
Which makes it a lot easier, but it does take more space on the phone.
More space, especially if you want to download. So another thing I didn't mention is the hillshades and contour lines. If you download those for like US, the West Coast, that's also a larger file. But again, you can have all those states at the same time. So, but another feature that came in 5.2 was the ability to load multiple maps. So if you don't want to download a big file like that, you could download just maybe Washington State and Oregon, and then load both of those at the same time. So that would be a smaller size on your phone if you have one of those old 16 gig phones. Hopefully nobody does. But that would save a lot of space, and you could still view a couple maps at the same time.
Well, and people might be getting those 16 gig phones just to have Cachly when their primary phone
that could be true. So in that case, let's hope they have those 16 gig phones.
Exactly. Which you can pick up for relatively cheap, but it's amazing how expensive those end up. But yeah, the multiple maps is a big thing, because I've been doing some of the drives across multiple states and turn on the multiple states.
Yeah, I especially had requests from European countries, so Germany or any small countries that had borders, and they cache between both countries, and so that was a common request.
Interesting. Well, Nick, I consider you a friend.
Thank you. Likewise.
And now also on Cachly, I could follow you as a friend. There's friend features.
Yes. So I think it was a year ago now that we had a friends feature previously. And then the European GDPR law came into play, and Groundspeak or Geocaching HQ needed to pull back some of that kind of stuff for privacy reasons. So all of the partners had to remove that feature until they could figure out a way to make privacy a bigger deal. And so the friends feature is back in 5.2, but you have to make sure that you authorize all third-party partner apps to be able to access that friend data. So like I would have to do that check mark in the settings on geocaching.com, and all of my friends would also have to do that as well. So it's just another layer of privacy that HQ needs for all partners. So,
and that is opt-in. So
yes,
you have to have everyone do that. And we actually have mentioned that on the show a few times now. But it's even if you're not using one of these apps, if you are actively doing the friends stuff with anyone else, or they're doing it to you, I guess, even go make sure to turn that on so that they can actually get to you.
Yeah. And along with the friends feature, you can, search for other users, find people that aren't your friend yet. You can make a request right through Cachly. You can approve requests that people sent to you. So it's a little more full featured than just browsing your friends.
Nice.
Yes.
I like that. I didn't know you could make the request right there through Cachly.
Yes, you can. You're going to go crazy and start requesting everybody.
Exactly. I'm just going to start with A's. Here we go. Oh, okay. So, what are some of the other things that you've added on to Cachly 5.2, or maybe even improved since the previous version, or even 5.0?
So I think it was June 3, the old API shut down. So we completely went over to the new API. If people don't know what the API is, that's how Cachly talks to the geocaching.com servers and brings in data. And when that shut down, some of the features that the old API used to have weren't necessarily completely brought over to the new API yet. So a few things went away from Cachly for a little while and then finally returned when those features were put back. So one of them was being able to view the users that favorited a cache, which is important to some people. Some people don't care, but that's a feature that Cachly had for quite a few years, and then we had to just take it away. So I had users saying, where did that feature go where I could tap on the favorites and I could see all the users that favorited it? So that's finally back. And it's just a quick way to see, a list of users, and then you can quickly go add them as your friends or request a friend request. So
Interesting, from right there. Okay.
right there. Yep.
Nice. And you also have filtering both online and offline.
Yes. So the online filtering is different than offline filtering because the online filtering has to be part of the API again. So the options that they provide, HQ provides, those are the only ones that I can use. There is a lot of them. But for example, some users at the Going Ape event that Chris and I were at asked about, hey, can I do a live search for just like winter caches that have the winter attribute or a different one? I said, well, that's something that'd be really cool, but currently the API doesn't support that. So in live searches, you can't do that. But if you saved an offline list, if you saved a pocket query, imported GPX, then you can do some of those powerful filtering. So in that context, yes, you can use, you can do attributes, you can do filtering for on or off. You can do inverse filtering where you can say, don't return any of this kind, return all the other ones. You can choose multiple filters. So you could do, I think I was explaining to people at the Mega where you could do, a difficulty, a terrain, narrow it down by dates, by state, by county, all those kind of things, just to narrow down your lists to a small subset of caches that you want to maybe search for that weekend or something.
And our Reagan says there's
Or
the
FTF.
FTF
Yes.
search. But one of the things that saved my butt really in West Bend was all of the caches for the event were published on the same day. So I just did a live search for publish on the day.
Yes.
And it really made it easy because then I could grab them and save them all to an offline list. And I shared that with the wife so that she had it, and we're all working from the same list then.
Yeah, so that's one of the nice live filter
Live
options.
filters, right?
Publish date. So
Right.
And you can do an open-ended one, so you can set like the start date of published, and then it would bring them all from that date forward, if that's helpful. So
yeah. And one of the other nice features is you can actually do found by or not found by another user. So the not found by is when I refer to as the marriage saver, because that way Renee doesn't see the caches that I found before she started caching.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's very nice.
It's only showing her the caches that we can both find, and she can stop going, but why are we passing all these caches?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, there you go. Marital advice from GeoGearheads.
And let's see, 2 other points that I wanted to say about offline filtering. So there's powerful text searching that probably doesn't get much love because it's kind of for advanced users, but you can actually use regular expressions in text searching. So you could use that for searching in the logs of a cache. You could use any sort of regex, and then templates are something that we've had for quite a while, but probably doesn't get as much use as they should either. So you can create a set of filters that can be saved as a template, and then when you create new lists, you can apply that template to your new list that you've created. So before that, a user had to just create all of those filters again, how they had, created them, in what order, and all the options. But with this, you can just apply that template to multiple lists. And once you make a change, it will change on all the lists that it's applied to.
Yeah, that's awesome features. But the templates that we're talking about there are different than the templates for logging.
Very different, yes. So those are filtering templates, and then we have the text templates for logging, which are also very powerful. So you can set some defaults for different log types. Like if you have a found it and a DMF, hopefully people aren't like pre-writing all of those, but if you have a footnote that you want to put on every log, also with keywords, you can do that, and then it will be auto inserted in when you choose your log type.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot last week, and especially the new Markdown syntax, because that's largely what we're talking about. But
Yeah.
I've got basically two different types of text templates. One is the full log template, and then I have some like keywords to insert. Usually it's for an event or for a cacher. So like all of the people I might go caching with on a regular basis, I have the text template in there that's the markdown for their name with the link.
That's nice. Yeah, you can create unattached text templates, so they don't have to be associated with a log type, and then you can just basically paste them in wherever you want. So, but yeah, you were mentioning the markdown syntax. I don't think many people use that. I don't think that HQ pushes that very much, like even on the website, and I don't think it's supported in their app, which is fine, but I think that people would enjoy using that, to add a little bit of markup to theirs. So that's, in 5.2, if you know Markdown, something as simple as a little asterisk before and after text will do italic, and so in real time you can see those changes as you're typing your log. So you can add those in your text templates as well.
Yeah, that's what our show was last week, was largely on the Markdown stuff. So
I guess I need to listen to that one. I missed it.
Yeah. But that's a good resource for you to go back and check. But on the website, if you are logging from the website, it does have on the log page an info link with the Markdown, and then they have their own editor that does the formatting and then just converts it to Markdown.
Is it showing the actual Markdown language, or is it?
No, it's a WYSIWYG editor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they do have a description, a help page that has it all.
Yeah,
but
I've
of
seen
course, the description that they have doesn't or has features that they don't support in their interpretation of Markdown.
Really?
Yeah, like horizontal rule was one of them.
I saw that one.
The bulleted and the ordered and unordered list aren't really there.
What to submit a bug report for that? I know the people that work on
there
the bug.
You go.
So.
Yeah, and R. Reagan is saying that he heard that the HQ version does not support the bulleted lists in Markdown, and wanted to know if Cachly actually supports that.
I don't know. It currently does not. So
because you're not actually doing the Markdown, correct?
No. Cachly is actually rendering out the Markdown. We receive the Markdown from the API as raw Markdown language,
right? But you're not doing a WYSIWYG editor or anything for actual logging. So
but when you're viewing your logs, it will render all those out.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think I'm doing lists.
Something else to look at for 6, I guess.
Absolutely. 6.2.
6.2. Yep. As if that list
that'll be a big release.
Yeah, it's going to be so much for 6. You're going to have to skip or 6.2 that you're going to have to miss 6 and 6.1 and you go straight to 6.2.
Yeah, we'll skip those.
Right. It's not even worth releasing those because all of the good stuff's going to be in 6.2.
There you go.
Yikes.
Oh, we are so looking forward to that.
We're such crazy people. Anyway,
we still have 5.2, which is an excellent program.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am so happy to have 5.2 because I do use it both on the iPad and on my iPhone, and I've pretty much stopped using just about anything else. I'll go to the iPad for the planning and use the iPhone to actually find the stuff. So it's become a very comfortable workflow. I use AirDrop to send the list between them,
Yep.
the GPX file, and to the friends, and really just works very quick and easy. And
One thing that actually Rich Reagan, who was commenting on there, I think that was the same user, has requested, and it's a great idea, is that offline maps, premium offline maps, you have to download them twice if you're using 2 devices. So I'm looking into a way to airdrop maps between devices, but it gets tricky when I don't want to have people send them to users who necessarily haven't paid for them, because that's the whole, don't want to just be pirating them. But
right.
trying to work on that issue, because it could save people from downloading multiple times and just quickly send it to the other device. If they update their map, they can send it to their other device and have another updated map.
Yeah, I was going to say it would be so
wasting
helpful.
bandwidth.
Yeah, because I had to go and update both devices, and that's twice as many. And when I was downloading 40, I think, maps at once, 20
That's
on
a
each
lot.
device, it took a very
Why do you have 20
long
maps?
time.
That's a lot.
Well, because I was trying to get all of them for all of the places I was planning on visiting this year.
Because
You could have just downloaded 4 the regional maps of the US and then you're done.
I didn't do that because I didn't trust the internet connection that much.
Okay.
But I had thought about that.
Nick,
And I kind of want to go back now and delete all these and download the regional maps so that I have less maps showing up in my list, because that list gets pretty long.
The good thing about the offline maps is that they're very fast rendering, so you could even load all 4 regional maps at the same time and rendering would be nice and fast. So don't worry about that.
Yeah. The problem is more the going through right now with the individual states and going, this one's on, this one on, this one on, this one's on. Where's that one? Oh yeah. Oh, this one's on.
Yeah, that's a pain.
So regional is going to be a lot easier. So that's why I'm tempted to do that. But the airdrop of the maps to users would be awesome, because, well, like, how many times do you forget to update a map or don't realize that it, or not even download it at all? But, you're with someone who forgot to download it or whatever. It's just
And I think,
an awesome
doesn't
feature.
airdrop work when you're not on Wi-Fi? It's just Bluetooth?
Well, it works. You have to have Wi-Fi on, but it uses Wi-Fi direct to do the transfer. It initiates over Bluetooth.
Could you do it? So you couldn't do it in the field with
No, you can't do it in the field.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, because it switches into Wi-Fi direct, which is
Okay.
a little bit more advanced than ad hoc. For anyone who remembers ad hoc Wi-Fi way back when, it's more advanced than that is. It's basically, though, just a crossover cable between 2 Ethernet ports, but done wireless.
So it would be very fast.
Yes. Yeah.
I was reading about it that there's really no limit to the size you can airdrop, and somebody was saying they tested a 10 gig file and it worked fine. So
yeah, the only problem would be the interference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go out of range, because it is device to device, and the further you go, theoretically, you're going to be, losing performance.
Hopefully Apple has some sort of checking of the data being sent, and if its integrity is okay.
I understand it's really good.
Yeah.
I haven't tested that too much, but I have had airdrops that fail.
Yeah, as have I.
Yeah. So it's, it's good enough for that. R. Reagan says that he sent GPX in the field from one Cachly user to another, and the GPS users were jealous. And that's kind of what I was talking about before at West Bend, is we didn't even have to go back to the what's it called? The booth or whatever you want to call it, where they were loading the GPSRs.
Yeah,
we just did it live in the field and kept caching. And, as soon as we heard the caches were published, went and downloaded those and moved on. And
Very nice.
I created the list and sent it to friends.
Yep. Daryl, I like that idea of searching on published data. I usually do a text search for, when a series of caches are published. They usually have a prefix at the beginning. I search on that and download, but and
that's a better way to do it, really, if it's something, like that. Because one of the problems I ran into were there were 2 other caches that weren't part of the series that showed up in my list. So I got them all.
Caches in the day.
Well, they were a little too far to do them all, and I never got all of the caches. We did almost
You talking
all.
about doing a live search, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, the nice thing is the new API is 100-mile radius. So you can, if you do a name search, you can pick up a lot of caches.
Mm-hmm. So for instance, the last one I did was Tri-Cities. I want everything that, what is it? TC 2019 was the prefix, I believe.
Yeah.
Grab me all of those, save them offline just in case I lose data later on in the day. I've got them all. And then, I could share them if I wanted to. I took it and also made it a public list so other people could grab it then outside of Cachely.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know why anybody would use anything but Cachely, but for those people.
Android users, right?
Yeah.
And getting to a more important question, Francis wants to know if the t-shirt is available in colors other than green.
Well, the one that Daryl's wearing was a previous printing of a different color, but currently they are only green because I like to tightly control the branding and marketing of Cachely.
So the colors are like based on the vintage.
Yes.
So eventually,
you have a different
collector's item
icon or different logo on yours. It's the old logo.
Oh,
with
yes, you're right. I didn't even notice
not
that.
the sharp pin. Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of
So
more.
that was
bubbly.
updated when 5.0 came out. I mean the look. So
See, I just have an old shirt.
I'll send you a new one. I need to send Chris one as well.
I just thought it was because I'm an older guy and I can't necessarily wear the newer shirts.
The hip shirts.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have the performance required by the new version of the shirt.
I can't wear the performance knit. I don't meet the requirements.
Yikes. Okay. Yeah, caching dead. No Android for Cachely. Sorry.
You know what you can do? You can take a Android phone and then duct tape an iOS device to it, and you can still carry them both.
I was just going to say Gorilla Glue is going to be your friend for that.
There you go. Yeah, see, you could use something even like an iPod Touch and use your data off of your Android phone, wirelessly connect them, and you've got Cachely.
The only problem with doing the iPod Touch is you have no GPS. So you'd have to have a Bluetooth GPS.
It will get data off of the wireless connection.
If you have an iPhone or an iPad.
Okay.
Yeah, it will do the location sharing from an iOS device.
The caching dead didn't find that funny.
No. Sorry, guys. Yes, when the Android users can.
Shirt,
yeah.
Maybe
when the Android users can, pool enough users to help pay for another developer, then it's something you could look at.
Nick, here's the new product line. You're going with the classic shirt line.
That's how we'll brand them. Yes.
You want
we need
classic.
We need like the 70s logo for Cachely on a shirt.
Oh, there we go.
And give it that distressed look, and then it will be worth some serious money.
We go 60s, we can do tie-dye.
And then another one that says not on Android.
Yeah.
Yes. Not your Android's caching app.
Yeah, that's a good slogan.
Oh my. All right. Well,
since we're talking about merch, Nels also wants to know if we can purchase Cachely geocoins.
In a way you can, because we have a new Patreon page for Cachely. And one of the tiers involves a Cachely geocoin. So that is the first time that anybody can get a Cachely geocoin where I am not mailing one or, for some reason, or handing somebody one at an event. So I've never sold them before. So this will be the first time that, there's an option for that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Now, is that the new coin or the classic coin?
Well, there is a classic coin, but I only have 2 of them personally, and all the other ones are who knows where. Okay. So most people have probably never seen the Cachely classic coin, but it's the newer one that's very heavy and big. So,
Well, I happen to have one, and this one is
That one.
quite heavy and big. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the Cashly coin I have as well. So I'm assuming that's the current version,
That is the current version, yes.
which is a beautiful coin.
oh, lovely coin. Yes.
But I am curious what the original Cashly coin was.
I am not in my normal office right now, and I wish I had it in my pocket, but I don't.
Well,
You
that's
don't
going to
carry
be
the coin with you at all times.
I don't. I should.
that's going to be the research project. Is everyone's going to have to go out and try to find the original Cashly coin now?
That's true. I didn't give out many. I actually dropped a lot in caches, and then I realized that was a bad idea because people would just take them. So I thought a long time ago that I could kind of promote Cashly that way, but it didn't really work out that way.
Or it's a good idea, and you start randomly dropping them and poking clues as to which one they're in, make people go hunting for it.
That could be, yeah.
There you go. Hey, the Caching Des says he would be willing to pay for an app. The real question is would he be willing to pay for an app developer?
Well, here's the thing. There is that $250 a month level on Patreon that
There
lets
is.
you submit feature requests. Maybe you could do the $2,000 a month level to help fund a additional developer
Well,
for Android.
you have a point there, but yeah, the high level, the high tier on the Cashly Patreon, which is patreon.com/Cashly, by the way, that is not just a feature request. That is actually working with me on a new feature, one that maybe somebody has wanted for a long time, and I just haven't had time to put it in. It's one that I would dedicate time to actually build into an upcoming version of Cashly within reason. Somebody can't say something that is not possible in the geocaching.com API, or something just ridiculous like
I want Cashly to make me a cup of coffee.
Yeah, something like that. So there's a little, subtext down there that says restrictions apply, but that's the idea of it, to have somebody who's really interested work with me, and we can get some features out there that somebody really wants. So,
but the Tupperware detector is still available. We can request that.
You can request that.
You always have the Tupperware detector. It's where the arrow is pointing.
There you go.
Yikes. Okay, we are getting way too silly for this show, so why don't we wrap it up? Thanks so much, Nick, for joining us again. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and getting a chance to learn a little bit more about the app that I think both Chris and I use fairly religiously.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for being users.
Unless geocaching.com makes us use their app for something like the Mystery at the Museum set.
Well, I told this to Nick in person. I said, Nick, I love Cashly. And you know what made me appreciate Cashly even more is this last promotion where I was forced to use the geocaching app. And yours is better.
Thank you. Nothing against the regular app or the official app, but yeah, that's a big feature that they pushed out. So to even build that into Cashly would have been a lot of work. So they had a reason for
1 month.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and as I understand it, the plan is kind of figure out how to make that an option that they can push out to everything. So I'm envisioning probably it's going to be some kind of like web embed kind of thing.
There is actually in the developer API, there's a way to get the current promotion and then show, like a web view of it. But the recent one had such tight integration with different caches you would browse and all that kind of, and the search and stuff like that, that I haven't added that feature, but it wouldn't have been helpful in Cashly at that, for that last promotion.
Yeah. And it's a work in progress. So yeah, it will take a little while. Now, the Caching Dead wants to know if you've asked or have thought about asking a geocacher or for a geocacher that has the knowledge to do the programming that might be willing to do it for free or less costly. And I'm assuming he's talking about the Android app because that's what he's been asking for this whole show.
I have not done that specifically. I think the problem is that there are other good geocaching apps on Android currently, as well as free ones that break the rules, like CGO. And so even if, say, I did have just gobs of free time to dedicate to that, I would never know if I could compete with those other apps on a different platform, and make a return on my investment. So that would be, that's the real deal when you have a family and got to pay bills and things like that. Putting a large investment into another platform, it's kind of a risk. So that's really what it comes down to.
Well, and honestly, I see two big problems with it. One is it is an iOS built app, so everything, functionality wise and interface wise has to change to make it an Android app, and none of the code ports and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But two is a problem that so many people have complained about on Android, which is all of the oxygen has been sucked out by CGO.
Yeah.
In two ways. One, it's a free app, so you can't really compete on against a free app that's open source and had so much development time. But two, because it doesn't use the API, they don't have to be limited by the API.
Yeah, and they can do other things that we can't do because they're screen scraping.
Right, which isn't kosher, but they're kind of looking the other way.
And users don't realize that. They don't.
No.
The people that use it don't realize that they're kind of skirting around the rules.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those issues that, there's other good Android apps, and probably one of the best ways to support their development is to support those apps directly. You're not going to get better Android apps until they start getting more return.
Yeah.
We put it that way?
Mm-hmm.
All right. A little too deep, I guess, at the end of the show. Thanks again, Nick. Where can people find more about Cashly? You
can go to cashly.com, and then also our Patreon page. Like I said, just search for Cashly there, patreon.com/Cashly. We're also on Facebook. We have a big community of Cashly users on Facebook, so just search for Cashly and you'll find our user group. Feel free to join and post questions, comments, bugs, feature requests. So that's where we are.
Excellent. And of course, we'll have those links in the, some of those links in the show notes as well.
Well, Nick, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And as Gary says, thank you for Cashly. I have it on my wife's phone.
But he has an Android.
He has an Android.
Android.
Well, thank you to his wife.
There's no I in Android.
It's the Wii phone, I guess. Not really sure.
I don't. That's okay.
All right. Well, meanwhile, Chris, thanks for being with us for almost 400 shows now.
400 shows, Daryl.
But I haven't done 400 shows either. Neither one of us have done 400 main shows. We've done more than 400 if you include all of the non-main shows.
Right.
So who knows how many we've done in total?
How many have we really done? I was just thinking I'm over 300 at Caching in the Northwest. I think that's 700 shows I've done in the last how many years? Wow.
We're on year 7, so.
Yeah, I think 10 for coming up on 10, 9, 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been quite the run.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to the next. I don't know that I'm looking forward to the next 400, but I'm definitely looking forward to the next couple hundred.
Yeah.
I want to hit at least 750. I don't know why, but
750. That's an interesting number.
Yeah. Well, I like the 750, but we can't go to 1,000.
620. That's close to 6.2.
Yeah, but we can't hit 1,000. We only have 3 places.
Oh, we have to circle back then.
Yeah, we'll just start over at 00.
Episode 1.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching, and check the Caching Maniacs website at cachingmaniacs.com for more on the Geo Gearheads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cachingmaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Caching Maniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on the website to support the Caching Maniacs shows. Geo Gearheads is produced by Chris Offenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2019 by Daryl Wanberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Caching Maniacs.